John Cowan joining me on the program. John, kia ora.
Good morning, Andrew. I think that's been around for a long time, but the phrase itself is new.
Certainly,
In
and
fact, that's one of the things I find about getting old. I don't keep up with terms. I remember being confused when people said someone had their back. What does that mean? Had their back? It doesn't. It's not grammatical. It's everything like that. Of course, it's now common usage.
yeah.
When someone talked about mansplaining, and I'm
Oh,
thinking, what's that mean? And then I found out I'd probably been doing it.
yeah, exactly. I
But
think you're an expert.
yeah, sadly, I probably am. Gaslighting, though, I think I was gaslighted by the term gaslighting itself because it made me feel as if I was really out of touch. I didn't know anything. I didn't know a thing about relationships or psychology. It made me doubt myself and feel myself stupid, which is exactly what gaslighting is, just because I didn't know what gaslighting meant.
It goes around in circles. Now, the basic etymology, that's words, not insects, isn't it? Etymology? I always get those.
Etymology,
Yeah, I
yes,
think
yeah.
I always get
There's a
confused.
joke there that I'm
Etymology and
struggling to
entomology.
remember. I
Anyway,
think
yeah.
those that don't know the difference between entomology and etymology bug me in ways you'll never understand. But anyhow, that's
Now, in terms of the origin of it, it was like a movie which was based on. Yeah, gosh,
yeah.
I mean,
There was a play actually back in the 1930s called Gaslight, and then they
mhm,
made a movie based on it in the 1940s. And the plot was the husband was trying to make his wife believe that she was going mad.
mhm.
And so that's where the term comes from, because that's what gaslighting is. Of course, it's not always husbands
No.
making their wives feel like they're going mad. It can be as equally the other way around. It can be bosses. It can be parents. It can be family members. And the thing is, it's not actually that uncommon because narcissists do it.
Yeah.
And they make up about 1% of the population because they feel so vulnerable. They have to control people around them. And so this is one of the techniques they do.
It is a pretty serious problem, but I think one of the difficulties is when any term gets overused,
Yes.
that it takes away from the seriousness of what is a real issue. As you say, 1% are narcissists. This is a serious issue. There's some
Hmm.
horrific abuse happening in relationships where this is the issue. But if we use it to describe everything, it doesn't really mean anything.
No, there are, I'll give you some examples of what it can be, but
Yeah.
then narrow it down to make sure that people aren't just accusing any criticism you receive or any correction you receive as gaslighting. There may actually be genuine reasons why you are being corrected or set straight or whatever. Not every criticism or not every rudeness even is gaslighting.
Yeah.
But gaslighting typically causes people to doubt their own sanity or memories or how they're perceiving reality. And it typically involves distorting facts, sometimes denying events, trivializing the feelings or interpretations of the person being gaslit. And sometimes, as I say, it can be inadvertent, it can be
Yeah.
careless, but other times it's actually manipulative. It's actually cruel. It's an attempt to gain dominance by increasing their reliance on the abuser. And so it is a type of psychological abuse. And often it happens in intimate relationships between partners. It can happen even in a medical context. Imagine if you keep on going to the doctor and the doctor saying it's all in your head.
Yeah.
You're making it up. You're
Yeah.
imagining it. And uh, now, quite possibly that is the correct diagnosis,
Hmm.
but honestly, it can sometimes be a gaslighting, a sense of, just trust me, I know better than you do about what's going on with you. It can happen at work, where people can sometimes take the role of being a, a, um, a mentor, a false mentor. I'm looking out for you, I'm correcting you, and then they can criticize them in front of others and say, oh, it's because you need tough love.
Yeah.
It can be sometimes help happen at work or in relationships where someone is love bombed, where they're receiving so much kindness from people, and yet then suddenly accused of being toxic or ungrateful or something. The after all I've done for you type
Yeah.
response that sometimes narcissistic parents can use on their kids.
Mm.
And so another form of gaslighting is when they try and blame you for wrong things they have done.
Wow.
Someone might have an affair, or start using drugs or alcohol or pornography or something. And then when they're accused of it, it's because you've driven me to it. It's your problem. It's your fault that I'm having to do this. And it's throwing the guilt, the blame back on someone else. Eventually, a gaslit person second guesses themselves all the time. They struggle to make decisions. They apologize when they don't have to. And the worst thing is if they try and push back against the person who's gaslighting them, usually they are so good at it that it makes them feel dizzy and sick that maybe the gaslighter is right. Maybe I am this toxic person. Maybe I am going mad. Maybe I'm not remembering these things. And so, yeah, it's an awful, awful thing. And if you're being gaslit, you certainly have my sympathies. So how do you cope with it? Well, it's going to be a hard thing to cope with. But one of the things is pushing back.
Yeah, one of the difficulties, I suppose, with this, if we have limited significant relationships, if we're only getting our view of ourselves from our sense of self-worth or from one other significant individual, I think people, particularly if they have low self-worth, are particularly vulnerable in that regard. So if we have more than one mirror on our identity, I suppose that's a bit of a safeguard. We can get a second opinion on this one from somebody else that we trust, perhaps as an antidote.
Yes, I think that's essential, I think, in gaslighting, to get extra perspective, to run things past them. Does this sound right to you?
Yeah.
This is what I remember, and to get their perspective. Now, just to make things extra complicated, sometimes close friends can gaslight their friend and can throw doubts and aspersions upon a husband or a wife and saying, oh, what they're really doing is this, and actually being a manipulative person within that friendship. So what you can do with the person that's gaslighting you is to ask follow-ups like, could you explain a bit more about that? Or why do you think that happened? And can you give me some reason why you think I did that? And the thing is, unless they can genuinely show that, give you evidence that what happened differs from your recollection, your memory of the event is just as trustworthy as theirs. Yeah. Yes, of course, we can all misremember things. We can all get things wrong. Not all criticisms are invalid. You know, sometimes we make mistakes, we misinterpret things. But if it's a pattern, if there's an intent to make you feel undermined and make you feel less and make you feel confused, that's gaslighting. But as you say, getting that extra perspective, and honestly, a counsellor can be very, very helpful in this situation. A counsellor has probably encountered this before and can give you ways of really knowing whether you are being gaslit and ways of being able to push back. So that's the sad and not very inspiring topic for today, Andrew. I'm sorry. It's but it is something which is out there. Yeah. It's something that too many people experience.
And hey, it is such an important thing to be talking about as well, because people who are trapped in abusive relationships where they think if anything goes wrong, it is their fault, and that's being reinforced on a regular basis, and they're feeling isolated. Yeah. It's so important to get help. And tragically, somebody who has been gaslit for a period of time often lacks the confidence to be able to push back and to get the help that they need. So, hey, pun intended, good to be shining a light on the topic of gaslighting today. John, thanks for what you do. Thanks for your thoughts and comments and for joining us today.
Cheers.
Hey, thanks very much for joining us in the Rhema studio. Thanks very much for watching the interview. It's kind of nice to have an audience, actually. And if you did like what you watched, then do give us a like, do give us the thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more interviews like that one, or perhaps even better, subscribe and those interviews will come straight to you. Don't forget to turn on your notifications, and we'll see you in the next one. Cheers.